into Gabby Williams, got hit in the forehead, and it caused 2 black eyes. And you can still see some of the remnants of them, and now she's sporting the bloody lip. She is as tough as they come.
Lexie Hull stepped onto the court against the Chicago Sky looking like she'd already been through a war, 2 black eyes staring back at the crowd. By the time the game ended, she added a busted lip to the list. And yet, somehow, she delivered one of the grittiest performances of her career. But what shook the arena wasn't just her toughness, it was what she revealed after the game. Indiana's dominance over Chicago, even through blood and bruises, proved they're not just sneaking into these playoffs, they're reinventing themselves before our eyes. Think that's inspiring? Just wait. Because the words Lexie Hull spoke afterward might be the rallying cry that defines the Fever's playoff run.
That's a W. Made it out. All we gotta do is keep making it out. Woo! Dubs!
How do you survive when your superstar is gone and half your roster is wrapped in tape? That was the nightmare Indiana faced the second Caitlin Clark announced her season was over. She didn't sugarcoat it. Just days before the regular season closed, Clark looked into the camera and said, "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning this season." For weeks she battled a stubborn groin injury that refused to heal, no matter how badly she wanted it to. Fans clung to hope, praying she'd come back. But when the announcement hit, the dream shattered instantly, and Indiana's playoff destiny had to be rewritten, right there on the spot.
Caitlin Clark released a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me, and for the Fever, brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the playoffs."
But Clark wasn't the only one. It felt like fate had marked the Fever as cursed. Sophie Cunningham? Gone for the season. Sydney Colson? ACL tear. Chloe Bibby? Still limping through knee pain. Ari McDonald? Broken foot. That's not just bad luck, that's an entire rotation ripped away. Imagine heading into the most critical stretch of the season without your franchise star, your enforcer, your point guard, your forward, and your veteran leader, all missing at once. Instead of building chemistry, the coaching staff was forced into chaos, shuffling lineups every single night like a desperate game of musical chairs.
At the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. To be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Head coach Stephanie White's frustration boiled over. She admitted, "It's frustrating, all the injuries she's had." Talking about Clark, White explained that the groin issue wasn't just stubborn, it ran out of calendar. "We ran out of time to do it safely," she said, making it clear they wouldn't risk Clark's career for one desperate push. General Manager Amber Cox doubled down, reminding everyone that protecting Clark's future mattered more than one regular season win. But stripping Indiana's depth chart bare left a haunting reality: no Clark, no McDonald, no Cunningham, no Colson, no Bibby. Every possession felt heavier. Every substitution carried weight. And yet, Clark never drifted away. Cameras caught her on the bench, clapping, yelling, lifting her teammates with fire in her eyes. She wasn't playing, but her presence was impossible to ignore.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play, and then to have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. And the message has continued to be that it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
That presence mattered because the playoff picture was brutal. Indiana clung to 8th place by the slimmest margin, barely holding off the Los Angeles Sparks. One stumble and they'd be gone. The question became survival. Could this battered roster endure long enough to sneak into the postseason? Could they find belief without their superstar? It wasn't about X's and O's anymore. It was about heart, willpower, and refusing to break. That uncertainty turned their showdown with Chicago into a powder keg of pressure. No glamour, no spotlight, just grit. And in that crucible, Indiana found their spark. What they unleashed on the sky would ignite their loudest statement of the season.
If a newcomer in Bree Hall plays tonight, Boston on a kick out. Mitchell, oh, she's hot to start. Mitchell finds Dantas, who rolls and lays it in.
So what does 97-77 really mean? On paper, just a 20-point win. But beneath the surface, it was something far more devastating. Indiana didn't just beat Chicago. They swept them. 5 straight times. By an average of 24 points. That's not competition, that's humiliation. A rivalry exposed for what it really was, total domination. Yet here's the twist, despite that control, the Fever were still clinging to 8th place, a single game ahead of the Sparks. One slip and they'd crash out of the bracket. Instead, they turned all that fear, all that uncertainty, into fuel and unleashed their most commanding performance at the exact moment they needed it. And when Mitchell whipped the ball to Dantas, the message was clear: Indiana wasn't collapsing. They were rising.
Mitchell, will she add to it? Whips it back for Dantas. Kelsey Mitchell putting on a show here in Indy.
Look at the spin on the ball. Just one dribble over the head pad.
Mitchell's been brilliant on a kick out to Howard. Mitchell bouncing. Howard, the left hand.
And then getting a stop on the defensive end. I know Coach Stephanie White is happy with her team with that.
Mitchell being hounded by Atkins, trying to shake her. Mitchell bounces inside, and Howard gets the roll.
Kelsey Mitchell lit the fuse. The floor general, the heartbeat of the roster. She dropped 20 points and dished 8 assists, leading, scoring, orchestrating. But this wasn't just a hot hand, it was control. Mitchell balanced playmaking and scoring with surgical precision, punishing Chicago's defense at every turn. Every possession she touched felt like a dagger, every decision a spark. But the bigger question loomed: was her brilliance enough to carry Indiana through this storm?
Here in the first half. Oh, it's Howard finding Sims, who finishes tight quarters. Howard backing in on Williams. Little shake and bake. And the fadeaway.
Then came Natasha Howard, the two-way powerhouse. 18 points. 7 rebounds. 4 steals. Her fingerprints were everywhere. Inside scoring, bruising finishes, and relentless defense that smothered Chicago's rhythm. Howard didn't just play, she set a tone. Every rebound she ripped down, every steal she snatched, it felt like Indiana's survival was flowing through her hands. And with her fire burning on both ends, the Fever storm only grew stronger.
7 of them came in the second quarter. Indiana's just been able to hold Chicago at an arm's length here tonight. And Natasha Howard putting together one of her best games of the season.
Missing that little bunny, just the possession before, comes up through the contact, goes straight to her chest. Not a...
Sims finds some space and can't get the roll. Howard charging, tips it, comes down with it and flips it home.
But Indiana wasn't done. They unleashed balance, wave after wave. 3 more players hit double figures. Odyssey Sims brought lightning-quick guard play, sparking instant offense off the bench. Aaliyah Boston, calm and steady, held down the paint, carrying responsibility without Clark to draw the double teams. Each basket was another reminder, this wasn't one hero saving the season. It was a team, rebuilt through adversity, refusing to bend. And with every contribution, Chicago's resistance crumbled further.
She is the team's leading scorer with Angel Reese not available. Hull lob it inside. Boston spins and finishes. So far in the second half, it's been one step forward, one step back for the Sky. Boston turns the corner on Cardoso, banks it home, and a foul.
Even Aerial Powers joined the surge, her energy exploding off the bench, her scoring leaving Chicago gasping. Every minute she played pushed the Sky further onto their heels. That depth, emerging in the middle of a roster gutted by injuries, proved this wasn't a random blowout. It was a warning shot. Indiana wasn't just surviving. They were dangerous. And if this was what they could do short-handed, the question every playoff team has to ask is chilling: what happens when this squad finally gets whole again?
Good hands there by Williams. Petty, Powers, through traffic and is able to finish. Powers going behind the back on Bana, muscles her way to the rim, draws the foul, and flips it home, and one Powers.
One stat told the real story: 27 assists against only 9 turnovers. That's efficiency at its sharpest. And when you realize Indiana has been forced to juggle lineups every single game, it's even more remarkable. No selfish play. No hunting for shots. Just trust, movement, and punishing defenses that dared to slip out of position. Chicago had no answer. Possession after possession, the Fever turned chaos into clean looks, burying the Sky long before the buzzer sounded. But why did this night matter more than just padding the win column? Because this victory gave Indiana something priceless: control of their playoff destiny. The sweep shoved Chicago aside, virtually locking in a berth. And with results falling their way from Seattle and Golden State, suddenly 6th place wasn't a dream, it was wide open. That wasn't luck. That was momentum.
I love watching these players.
Here's Michaela Timpson checking in for her first minutes and banking it home.
Yes, Indiana won by 20. But step back, look closer: the sweep, the playoff positioning, the balance, it meant so much more. The Fever didn't just defeat the Sky, they dismantled them in every category, proving their identity isn't about one star. It's about resilience. Execution. The collective. And at the center of that identity was one performance impossible to ignore. Lexie Hull. She didn't lead in points, but her bloodied, bruised, unbreakable showing stole the night. 2 black eyes, a bloody lip, warrior marks that became her story. Earlier, those eyes came from a violent collision with Gabby Williams. She carried them proudly. Then, as if fate hadn't tested her enough, Camila Cardoso caught her in the mouth mid-game, splitting her lip open. And still, Hull refused to quit. Blood dripping, face battered, she kept playing. Because no injury, no pain, was pulling her out.
Powers bouncing, Hull. Oh, had it denied at the rim. Well, looked home free, and I think
that refusal to sit told us more than any box score ever could. When the roster is gutted by injuries, when Caitlin Clark is in street clothes, when Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby, and Ari McDonald can't even warm up, you don't survive without toughness. And Hull lived that toughness. She didn't look for sympathy. She laced her sneakers, checked back in, and delivered the kind of minutes that symbolize exactly who the Fever are becoming. Punch back. Play hurt. Refuse to retreat.
Let's guy, they just gotta get into their sets a little bit quicker.
Here's Hull off the Boston screen. She hits. And Indiana is...
I love the way that she's been able to elevate her game.
The youngsters out of South Carolina, who both are having strong seasons, as Indiana has opened up 3 for 3 with Lexie Hull.
And here's the twist, this is happening during the best season of her career. Hull isn't a role player taking up space. Across the board, points, rebounds, steals, assists, career highs. She's already shattered her personal record from beyond the arc, drilling over 53s this season. That's not coincidence. That's growth. The leap every young player dreams of. And it's arriving at the exact moment her team needs someone to carry more than just stats.
3 points here tonight at 14 minutes off the bench. Turner gets inside, kick out. Hull who buries a 3.
Her teammates and her coach see it too. Stephanie White said it plainly, Lexie Hull embodies what the Fever want to be, resilient, fearless. That praise isn't handed out. It's earned by diving into possessions, playing through pain, and refusing to let go of a game. Ask anyone in that locker room and they'll tell you, Hull sets the tone. And it hasn't been a one-night miracle. It's been the steady consistency of her effort game after game. Because yes, her shooting is up, but her defense is the glue. Indiana needed someone to chase Chicago's guards, disrupt rhythm, and challenge every shot. Hull did it. She absorbed elbows, contact, punishment, and never backed down. The numbers prove it. Indiana's defense simply sharpens when she's on the floor. And the reason is clear, she bothers scorers, she communicates, she never takes a play off.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the 2 black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these 2 black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, you don't need to be sorry. This is what it is. And when I'm playing, like, I forget about it, and then I go and look at the mirror. I'm like, oh shit, he's still there. So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine.
Yep.
Right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect.
Then came the moment that tied it all together. After the win, reporters asked about her black eyes. Hull smiled, bruises and all, and said, "Every day, we fight for our injured teammates." A simple sentence, but it struck like lightning. Proof that every lump, every bruise, is carried for the team. She wasn't just talking toughness, she was living it. In that instant, she became the symbol of Indiana's season. A player turning pain into identity, proving this Fever roster has redefined itself. And the contrast couldn't have been sharper, because as Indiana built resilience, their opponent on the other side was falling apart for everyone to see.
The resilient, nature of our team. I think one other thing that sometimes goes missed is just the character of these women, right? Especially this group that's been here, that's gone through all of this, and then the ones that we've brought in. We brought in with O and Che and AP. I mean, these are women who care about winning. These are women who care about one another. These are women who sacrifice every single day.
What does it mean when a team missing 5 core players still controls its playoff fate? Indiana answered that against Chicago. The math was simple. Before tip-off, they were clinging to 8th, just 1 game ahead of LA. But after blasting the sky and watching the Sparks collapse against Atlanta, Indiana leapt into 7th, firmly. Suddenly, this wasn't about clinging to survival at the bottom. This was about climbing higher. 6th place wasn't a fantasy anymore. It was a target.
At rough count, the Fever have beaten the Sky by 12,000 points in their 5 games this season. I'm not perfectly sure on that number, but it seems correct, as they smack the Chicago Sky yet again. Basically, they've already been in a good playoff position, but cement a hold on a playoff spot.
And the weight of it can't be overstated. That sweep of Chicago wasn't just pride. 5 games. All won. By an average margin so wide, it set a new league record for point differential between 2 franchises in a single season. History. But the impact went deeper. This win locked the Fever into the playoffs for the 2nd year in a row. Think about that. A team buried for nearly a decade, now standing tall in back-to-back postseasons, even without Caitlin Clark leading the charge. And with Seattle slipping, Golden State grinding through a brutal schedule, Indiana suddenly had opportunity. They didn't need outside help, but every break mattered. And now? The margins were finally tipping in their favor.
Kelsey Mitchell, brilliant once again. Lexie Hull playing through a busted lip after she's played through black eyes, which came from the knot on her forehead, which, you know, is sort of exemplifies the Fever season, the way they fought through things. You got all players on crutches and carts before the game. Caitlin Clark, unfortunately, ruled out for the season. It makes you think what could have been, but what is a smacking for the Sky whenever they face them, and a playoff spot almost assured for the Indiana Fever.
Give credit where it's due, Stephanie White saw it coming. Since July, her message was ruthless in its simplicity: every game is a playoff game. That mindset hardened her group. No one stared at the calendar. No one checked standings. They showed up each night with urgency, and now, at the season's final turn, it's paying off. This playoff berth is more than a ticket to the bracket. It's proof this isn't a one-player team. They forge balance, toughness, trust. An identity that survives without their superstar. And here's the most terrifying thought: when Caitlin Clark finally returns healthy, this won't just be resilience. This will be the foundation of a dynasty in the making.
Get the brooms out! Get the brooms out! I got my dustpan handy. We sweeping up the Chicago Sky. They are toast. They are done. We gonna hold on to our broom for this entire blog. Listen, the Indiana Fever just absolutely smoked the Chicago Sky. What a win. What a win.
Indiana didn't just secure playoff control with that 97-77 win. They reshaped their entire identity. No longer about one star, it's about depth, toughness, and a roster that refuses to fold no matter how many bodies they've lost. Sweeping Chicago by 24 points per game sent the message loud and clear. This is who the Fever are now. And yes, it stung even more for the Sky, with Angel Reese sidelined after her 8th technical foul. Indiana dominated short-handed and laughed in the face of chaos. Because if this is what they can do without Clark, just imagine what happens when she returns. Comment fired up for the Fever if you're locked in with this win. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this story is only just beginning.